Greetings, Scotty here with a Black Talk Radio. It's not really a news report or commentary. Well, it is some commentary, but I just made a video, published it earlier, about some anti-blackness that has tried to creep into one of the safe spaces that our nonprofit Black Talk Media Project set up for Black people, Afro-descendant people, African-descendant people, African Americans, Black Americans, whatever label that they choose to use. But we set up a safe space for those people to exchange views and information. And we have a social media platform called btrcommunity.com that stands for Black Talk Radio. For 9 years now, we've been running the Black Talk Radio Network, which is a digital radio broadcasting platform as well as a podcasting platform. And so I've been noticing that this one person in particular, but he's not really by himself. And these other people, over the years have tried to infiltrate our networks. And these are people who came to me, saying, hey, I want to do a show on the network. I want to address some information for, quote unquote, our people. But then later I find out that these people got a problem with people classifying themselves as Black culturally. And yes, we know that Black doesn't represent a nation, but it does represent a cultural nation. Look up the different definitions for a nation before you come stepping to somebody thinking you all high-minded and got access to information, or other people are so stupid and what have you. All right. So anyway, I've had to kick a couple of people off of the platform over the years, and I may have to kick this dude off the platform. Now, I try to be patient with people who look like me, Black people, even if they don't classify themselves as Black. I try to be patient. I try to live by some of the principles that Malcolm X talked about, and not condemning somebody because they don't think like how you think as fast as you think, and don't know what you know, because at one time, you wasn't all that and what have you until you got, privy to the knowledge. But I'm talking about these people spreading pseudo knowledge. They think it's knowledge. They think that it's rooted in some truth, and it's not, and it's easily debunked. So I made a video about this person, and I'm putting them on Front Street. Yes, I am. Let this be a warning to that person and anybody else, as I stated in my other video. It's a sign of disrespect when you come to Black Talk Radio Network and you represent yourself as Black until you get your foot in the door. Then you think you're gonna promote some other stuff to the Black people that subscribe to our networks. No, you're not. Okay? You're not. But what really got me pissed off is what this dude posted today in our social media community. Let me pull that up right quick. Yes, Thomas from New York, I'm talking about you. As I stated in my other video, been knowing about you and hearing you call into different radio programs for years. But all of a sudden here recently, you on some other stuff. And you are so-called Aboriginal now. But you can be all of that, but you ain't gonna disrespect us. And if you don't want to be part of the Black collective, then you need to step off. Okay, go to Facebook, go somewhere else. But as you can read for yourself, this is what he said. Now he posted a video from Yvette Carnell, who I've also known about for some years, and I know what she talks about. I watched her videos and stuff, and I don't agree with a lot of stuff she says when it comes to people from Africa. I get where she's coming from, but I don't always agree, and that's all, and that's okay. We're allowed to disagree with each other. What we're not allowed to do is be disrespectful to one another, especially if you on a platform that I manage. And it's just odd because just the other day, I was on Facebook, because I manage pages and whatnot on Facebook. So I was on Facebook the other day, and these so-called call themselves Black nationalists or whatever was attacking Yvette Carnell, because of, I don't know if it was this video or another video. And you know what Yvette talks about, and I haven't even watched her recently, but you know, I got the gist of her argument. What she talks about is Africans who come over here with attitudes and with false information or this misconception about who Black Americans are. And then how white people on college campuses and in these institutions, whether it's corporations or whatnot, that they want to replace African Americans with these continental Africans who are not conscious, okay? And they give them those slots where, you know, in the 60s, affirmative action was passed as a form of reparations, you know, these affirmative action slots, which have always been under assault by the Republican Party. So what some of these racist suspects is doing is giving those slots that were meant for the descendants of victims of slavery, African victims of slavery. And she says that, you know, we got to push back against that. Now, you know, I get where she's coming from. And I'm not going to say that I agree with that wholeheartedly. It depends on the person. It depends on that African. If he may belong to the Igbo tribe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the group of Nigerians that refer to African Americans as cotton pickers and look down their noses at us, as well as look down their noses at other African descendant people or African tribes that's in Nigeria. Okay? So that's what she's talking about. Now, in this particular video, I watched some of it, and she, you know, saying that Pan-Africanism is dead. Well, I don't agree with that. You know, it is not as vibrant, or it doesn't have as much energy when Malcolm X was alive, and he was pushing Pan-Africanism as well as trying to get some of these Muslim countries at the United Nations to stand up for the human rights of Black people and put in the United States and put pressure through the UN on the United States to stop practicing racism and violating the human rights of African Americans. Now, Pan-Africanism is not dead. Recently, a UN panel with some African input recently said the United States owes reparations, not just for slavery pre-1865, because y'all know the 13th Amendment, as I talk about a lot, does not abolish slavery, but that UN panel said they owe African Americans reparations, not just for slavery, but for white terrorism after 1865 and Jim Crow and all of that. And then, you know, we still got the continuation of slavery via the prisons, and you got these slave catchers, some known as police, who are shooting people down. Okay, so Pan-Africanism isn't dead. There is a brother by the name of Tony. I can't recall his last name. I follow him on Twitter, but, you know, I became aware of him a couple of years ago. He's a Nigerian billionaire who wants to invest in Black businesses around the diaspora. His organization, his foundation has asked, you know, these people to submit business plans for him. He's looking at business plans that's going to create jobs in the Black community or in the African diaspora. And he wants to use some of his personal wealth through I guess he donated to his foundation to fund some of these businesses with the hope that they become self-sustaining in the future. Okay, so I don't know what Tony's ethnicity is. I don't know what tribal, you know, affiliation he has in Nigeria, but he's a Nigerian and he is practicing Pan-Africanism. Okay, so Pan-Africanism, while it may not be popular, it may not be on, you know, the a bunch of people talking about it and whatnot, it's not dead. Okay, so you know, I disagree with her on that. But getting back to what these other Black nationalists was said, instead of attacking her arguments, they attacked her personally, calling her stuff like mulattoes, and I've seen this before. People have talked about her being light, and you know, light supposed to equal white. Then this other dude want to try to change up the definition of a mulatto and where that comes from and say, oh, I'm just talking about somebody with a black person with a white mentality. Why you got to name call a person? Why you got to call them out their name? Why you got to use that racial slur, which has been used as a slur by black nationalists in the past against African Americans? It's specifically light-skinned African Americans. So I was just defending her the other day from those attacks, and then this person got the nerve to ask me, when have I ever defended Africans or sticking up for Africans? I'm like, dude, I've been in this propaganda game producing podcasts and internet radio for 9 years. If you haven't heard me confront this anti-Africanism, then guess what? You just haven't been listening. Maybe you need to come to Black Talk Radio and come off of them white-owned dominated platforms and what have you, So anyway, this is what pissed me off. This person talking about even the blind Yvette Carnell. See, look, already calling her out her name or, denigrating her. Even the blind Yvette Carnell can see this coming. Stick a fork in that out of Africa theory, cow shit. These African American people can't run around here forever trying to be something you are not. My Aboriginal brothers and ridiculing those of us who don't subscribe to the white supremacy ideology called Pan-Africanism, at some point you're going to have to stand up for what is yours and not embellish in what belongs to someone else. Yvette was way too easy on them. Look, I've listened to Thomas for a number of years, and I'm just going to be blunt with it. I don't think he's that very intelligent. I don't think his reading comprehension is all that good. And, this is a video. She is not sticking a fork, so-called, in the out of Africa theory. What's the out of Africa theory? Look, archaeologists or anthropologists and scientists have documented that modern man originated in Africa and populated the rest of the world. But according to people like Thomas, all these individuals came about. I don't know how they think they came about on these different continents separate from Africa or all on their license. For example, the people of Hawaii. The people of Hawaii didn't migrate there in canoes or something like, hey, Pele raised them up from the volcanic ash. This pseudo-scientific bull crap is what it is. So they say, oh, no one's African descended except the Africans who were born in Africa, and just trying to say these migrations never happened. Okay. And so again, this is pseudoscience. This is pseudo history. It's nonsense. It's nonsense, and they can't point you to anything but a person's opinion. They can't point you to any scientific evidence or anything of the sort. Yvette Carnell does not engage in that sort of stuff. When she talks about the descendants of victims of slavery, she says African. She refers to them as African Americans. So she ain't on the same page with you, Thomas, and I don't know how you got that out of this 2-hour video. I wasn't going to watch the whole video, but I got the gist, from some of what I watched, and she ain't talking about what you talking about, okay? She's saying that other African people don't care about African Americans, and again, I don't agree with that. That's not entirely true, okay? Are there some Africans who don't care for African Americans or Black Americans? Yes, there are. Okay, and they mostly been infected by white supremacist media, considering that white supremacists or suspected racists control 95% of the global media. Okay, so then it looks like he didn't edited his comment because he called us niggers. As I responded here, I said, why are you calling people niggers? Are you a racist, anti-black cracker on the inside? So he didn't edit his comments. That's what pissed me off. You want to talk about somebody subscribed to a white supremacist ideology, but you calling people niggers, you're being very disrespectful. Okay, you're being disrespectful to me as the creator of Black Talk radio community and of Black Talk Radio. And it's just awful funny that we can go back in the archives of the cows, with you calling in on the compensatory call-in on Saturday nights, talking about anti-blackness, referring to yourself as black, acting like, you part of the collective. But then all of a sudden this year, you Aboriginal now. And like I told him, ain't no such tribe as Aboriginal or indigenous, as I hear. We indigenous or we Aboriginal. Look, African Americans have been on this continent a very, very, very long time, as since the first Europeans stepped off with some African in chains. Okay, and yes, there's some evidence that African traders traveled here and traveled with the Aboriginal people. And again, this dude don't even know what the term Aboriginal mean. It does not mean indigenous. Indigenous is like a native plant, a plant that's only found in one location. Aboriginal means the earliest settlers, okay, of a place, of a continent. And so, Aboriginals did migrate here. Okay, this is well documented in science and what have you. So, this is garbage that this dude, he's being very disrespectful. And I say, if you don't want it, where's y'all Aboriginal network or your indigenous network? And what tribe do you descend from? Okay, if they're supposed to buy you some special privileges and afford you some privileges and what have you, what tribe do you belong to? Do you got membership to that tribe? Did you apply for membership to that tribe? Or is it one of the extinct tribes that have been genocided off the continent by racists and what have you? Okay, so this is nothing but garbage, man. This is straight up anti-blackness. These people even go to ask the stupid ass question, where are the slave ships? Where do you think some hundreds of years old wooden ships are? Well, some of them are in museums in England, okay? But most of the time, these wooden ships deteriorated or they were repurposed to build cabins and furniture when they became unseaworthy. We got these people out here thinking, cause we can't go to a museum and see a slave ship. The transatlantic slave trade must have never occurred. This is garbage. And then, black people, like I was saying, are mixed up on this continent. And we do have Native American blood. Many of us do. We also got European blood. Okay, that's because of the transatlantic slave trade and white men raping black women. And then you had victims of slavery who would escape and take up residence with Aboriginal tribes and be adopted into the tribe, like the Seminoles of Florida. Okay, but then you also had some tribes like the Cherokee and other so-called 5 civilized tribes who are enslaving Africans as well. So is that what you're saying? You are descended from some slavers? Is that what you're saying to us? Is garbage, because where is your membership in one of these indigenous tribes? Have you filed any paperwork with the U.S. government to be recognized as a tribe? Again, what's your tribal name? Because Aboriginal ain't no tribal name. Indigenous ain't no tribal name. So this a warning. Y'all can be Aboriginal, you can call yourself indigenous. I believe in people's right to self-determination. Don't mean it's true, but you call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. But what you're not going to do is come to Black Talk Radio and spread this anti-blackness or tell us we stupid or anything like that, and tell us we ain't descending from people, African people or whatnot. So, it's just, hey, it's time out for that. So if you think you're going to infiltrate and spread this garbage on our networks, think again. And I will be redoing the terms of service, because the social media platform is a paid subscription. It's $24 a year. And I'm gonna make up some new terms of service to where, you know, you engage in anti-blackness or any other kind of incorrect behavior, you're going on a 30-day suspension. If you continue it after that, you will be kicked off the platform and you will not get your $24 refunded. So again, I'm trying to be patient with other black people, but this is just straight up disrespect. I would never come to a person's house and tell them they ain't what they call themselves and what have you. It's a matter of respect. And then this dude, man, I'm telling you, there are some individuals that have talked to me that want to go to New York, Thomas, and whoop your ass. All right. And I told them, nah, dog, we don't want to engage in any kind of violence against other people. This person is not worth it. But they was like wanting to whoop your ass on principle. And I talked them down. So you don't know who you messing with, man. Y'all think y'all can hide behind the internet and what have you. But guess what? You can't hide from internet platform managers. We know exactly where you are. So, you know, you need to chill on that, man. I'm trying to be patient. But if you're going to be disrespectful, you can get the hell off. All right, this is Scotty. I'm out.